I think it's been, 3 weeks since you've done the podcast now? Right? Kenny, Michael was 2 weeks ago. Kenny and Michael were last week. And wow, it has been feels like, Mom, it feels like forever since I've seen you.
A long time.
I feel like not a lot has happened since those 3 weeks, but now this week we had a lot of big stuff.
Well, this won't be as funny as Michael and Kenny.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw that one, but...
No, but I could hear it upstairs. Everybody laughing.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, that means you got to bump it up a little bit more.
Everybody was cranky when they started, and then all of a sudden I heard laughing. I said, okay.
It's always a rocky start with Kenny.
My days of podcasting might be over.
Yeah, exactly. We had to have a big talk. We were like, listen, we're trying to weed Mom out.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Michael's back next weekend.
No, we have to give people the news, Mother. The important stuff that happened during the weekend.
And then you get mad at me for doing it.
No, YouTube gets mad at you for doing it.
Yeah, well, they can bite my ass, YouTube. Sorry.
The people that pay us.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we should just go right into the Musk files. I'm going to call it the Musk files because, I mean, it's a pretty big deal. YouTube can't really censor this because now we know that it's true. So.
Oh, they'll find a way.
Oh, yeah, that's true. So for those of you that don't know, first off, I want to say Elon's doing a great job with Twitter right now. He's going to bring that. He's going to make his $44 billion back. I guarantee it. He's completely changed the game of Twitter. So he released all the.
You know what Bannon says?
What does he say?
Musk bought a crime scene.
Yeah, that's a fair way of putting it. That's a good saying.
Scene.
So Elon just released all of the. So as of last night, he released all of the.
Some of the.
Yeah, I would say the important parts of the Hunter Biden laptop story. And we've known about this for a while, but he had the evidence that basically the government was working with Twitter to make sure that information did not get out before the president was elected. So, I mean, that's a huge deal, the biggest deal in the sense of you had information that you withheld from the people to gain votes. Or to make a certain side look significantly better than the other. So that's pretty scary to me.
Government agencies suppressed the vote.
Yeah.
And they were able to manipulate the 2020 election.
Yeah, we have the proof of it now.
The election deniers have been saying now for quite a long time, and they've finally been vindicated that at least that aspect of the election has now been shown to be true because of huge percentage, I don't remember it off the top of my head, said had they known about that, they would have changed their vote.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it was enough of
and that was before all this came out. That was back when it was speculation.
Right, when it was speculation, and now when it's absolutely true. The timing of it, too, as we started to talk about, was, people made fun of Rudy Giuliani. They mocked him for a lot of the things he had said. He had been involved in this laptop story long before the 2020 election. Mm-hmm. Because he's very familiar with Joe Biden, and when he was a congressman, and he was looking into this for quite a while. It turns out that they were also surveilling him, government agencies, and that's how they knew what information to suppress on Twitter based on the progress that Giuliani was making in his personal emails that they surveilled. They knew to come out and say, contact Twitter and say, make sure this information doesn't get out tomorrow, because it was coming. Same thing happened with the original person who broke the story for the New York Post. Her name is Miranda Devine.
Yep.
They pulled her story down off of Twitter, within hours of when it broke. But when you look at the Twitter files that Elon Musk released, and you check the timing of it, she brings up a very good point. A lot of this stuff was done preemptively. Like, they knew it was coming out because they were surveilling her, so they made a point of letting them know, and you could see from emails that they were in contact, the government agencies, specifically a man by the name of James Baker, who, for those of you from the Russia gate, he's the lawyer for the FBI.
Right.
And he was knee-deep into that stuff, and they have emails with him sitting in our meetings and saying, no, we can't let this information get out.
Yeah. Who's going to jail? That's the question, because right now we have enough evidence that someone at Twitter was working with government, and government was working with them, hiding information that was supposed to be public to the people, and they changed the election.
It's called election interference.
Yeah.
It's against the law.
Yeah.
And they knew they were doing it.
Yeah,
And there's some real issues because the President of the United States stood up there and denied several times that it was misinformation. Yeah. This is not true. He lied to the American people.
Now, my only, I don't want to say caveat to that is, I think the president may not have known. Like, do you think the president's the one that was like, hey, make sure this happens? Or do you think it was people?
You have to understand.
I just don't think Biden does that kind of stuff.
Listen,
in the sense of,
you have to understand. The information on the Hunter Biden laptop.
Yeah.
In general, we don't really care what's on it. I don't care what Hunter Biden did. I mean, other than he's a member of the first family and it looks bad, et cetera, et cetera. There are crimes on there. There's child trafficking on there. There's drug abuse that's on there. There's child abuse that I'm told is on there. Mm-hmm. Those things are all bad in and of themselves. But what's really damning is the information about our president and the deals that he had done with the president, knowing full well they were going on. That's what's on that laptop, and that's why it matters to us as American citizens, right? The others are just crimes.
But that wasn't the argument that you just said.
No, that's what I'm saying. I care more about what the president is tied into that.
Oh, I thought you meant tied into the Twitter aspect of it.
No. But the fact that he stood up there denying what he knows to be on there. And by the way, we have affidavits. The FBI interviewed their partner, Mr. Bobulinski, and that was completely swept under the rug. And he came in and said, these things are true. I have emails and I have documents to prove it, that our president is compromised. They knew this back in 2020, 2021, when this guy came out, before the election. And the president of the United States stood up there and said, none of this is true. He lied to the American people. There are crimes that are documented on this. And now you've got backup from Twitter saying something happened here. These groups were suppressing this information.
And someone tried to cover it up in government. Right. And they knew that they could do it through Twitter. Right. It's a scary thought because right now it goes back to the question of, it more so brings up the question of private versus public companies. Right now we're going to be hearing about this all the time. If Elon didn't bring this public, Twitter would still be... imagine if he didn't buy Twitter and we would have never known about this. So that's why...
Well, for many of us who did know or listened to Bobulinski and knew that this stuff was being validated by a third party, we understood that it was true. This is just validating what everybody has said. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. He's saying that there's more information that's going to come out. Who knows what else information that's been going on behind the scenes with Twitter. Okay.
On other stuff, too. Not even just
other stuff. Let alone when we get into the whole vaccine. I know that's a taboo subject. But what actually happened?
You saw that they said, well, we never forced it. We only recommended it. Remember?
Well, I don't know how Facebook and YouTube is going to feel about that. Yeah. But there's now starting to dig through some of these emails. And when you start looking at some of the conversations, like Mr. Fauci telling his friend, Dr. Fauci, masks don't work. He said that in an email to a friend. They don't work.
Well, you see now that, did you see his interview the other day? I wasn't a big one, but basically he said, someone brought up, what are the thoughts of it being in a lab? And now he's like, I'm going to start considering that idea. Yeah. That could be true.
Yes.
It's like, what?
Yeah.
You just found this out, that this was a thought?
Because we funded it with government money that he issued.
Yeah, he issued.
He knew exactly what was coming out of those labs.
Yes, but also I think that the only caveat I have to that one is Fauci has a lot of secretaries and stuff, I'm sure. And then he goes, listen, just let me sign shit. I'm sure he signs shit all day. I always question when people in the higher ups
Fauci's boss was Dr. Collins. Mm-hmm. He resigned a few years ago because he saw what was coming down the pike. Fauci worked for him. Mm-hmm. He wasn't the head guy, although he's up there, right?
Right, sure. And, the argument is Fauci's more of like he's not doing any research anymore. He's just kind of like the paperwork guy, CEO.
Well, we still are waiting for, as Dr. Congressman Rand Paul has been asking for, who is getting this grant money?
Right.
We're not getting that disclosure from Dr. Fauci.
I feel like he's just like signing papers. I don't think he reads through everything and looks. I think at a certain age.
I think you're going to find out that Dr. Fauci was heavily invested in these pharmaceutical companies and had a real interest in pushing these vaccines and in pushing what was going on. Otherwise,
obviously he was making money, but I'm talking about before the virus and stuff started.
Well, the HIV
which is what
problems
it was
in the 1980s or whatever. Robert Kennedy Jr. wrote a book on the real Dr. Fauci. I have not read it, but it's pretty damning stuff about how he handled HIV and the orphans in the city, that his program infected these kids and they were tortured trying to find a cure for HIV. Mm-hmm. Little children and babies in the city, okay? I have not read the book. I don't know all the information about it, but he didn't start with a very good reputation. What's important about this, we talked about this in past podcasts. This individual had a lot of power. We did not elect him.
Yeah, he just gets put in because I don't even know how he gets picked.
Because we have these government agencies, and when people use terms like, the deep swamp, and the deep state and the swamp and all this stuff, yeah, it's individuals that are questionable, but we have to start looking at things like the EPA, and now we see the NIH, blah, 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 and National Institute of Acquired Immunity, what Fauci runs, okay? All these organizations, Congress has given these individuals a lot of power, okay? We did not elect these individuals. They should not have the power to just go in there and say, you know what, I'm going to withhold grant money because, or I'm going to give grant money because, or I think everybody should wear a mask because. Places like the CDC. CDC controlled our lives. They're an advisory board. They don't get to decide who gets vaccinated or not. The FDA is the same story. Yes, they do testing. Yes, they do all these things, but they're an advisory board. And that's what they get paid to do. Somewhere along the line, we've jumped into this area where he gets up there, speaks, and says, we need vaccines, or you can't open schools until such and such. Nobody gave him that power. That's supposed to be state delegated, which is why you saw states like Florida, where Governor DeSantis said, I'm not doing that, and I don't have to. My medical person says we don't have to do that. He did not lock down. Other states did. And now they're comparing the statistics from different countries, different states. Why was it done that way? So just because these quote-unquote leaders of these groups decide that it should be done, nobody's questioning, nobody's pushing back. And when we did, you got censored, right?
Yeah.
And that's a problem. People need to see that now. If they didn't see it before, like we used to see things with the EPA like 4 or 5 years ago, where they were getting power to regulate a puddle on your property. Think about that. I didn't elect these individuals, and they're going to come in and they're going to pass laws saying I can't have certain water on my property. Mm-hmm. And that was one example of it. That's where our government is starting to go way far astray. And it's always been, it's too big.
Yep,
it's too big.
Too big government, yeah.
Right.
Too many.
That's the conservative. That's the old school's conservative. It's too big. Bring the government down, or at least the federal government.
Yes.
Put more power in the hands of the states. Let the individuals in the states decide, et cetera, et cetera. But now we've got all these government agencies. Now we have the FBI. How much more evidence, circumstantial, how much more evidence do you need to see? There's something wrong at the FBI. They're working too hard against you and me and not hard enough against real criminals out there.
Right. Back to Elon, though, I feel like he paid $44 billion for all the secrets that we kind of already knew were out there. So that's kind of a good feeling to know. But I'll tell you this, Twitter has gone a lot more towards the right in the last 2-3 weeks. And it's funny because people go, all you've done is turn it into a conservative website now instead of liberal. But what's funny is it's not. It's just people are kind of starting to wake up and go, so clearly the people that I've been following for the last 5 years aren't real people.
They're not real people, and all these individuals, I'll say mostly the leftists.
Yeah.
You can't have these conservatives on because I believe in free speech. It's an oxymoron.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody should be on these social media platforms. We've had this discussion.
Yeah.
I'm against hate speech. I mean, I don't like hate speech, but I don't believe in policing it. I say let people say what they want to say, and if it bothers you, then don't go to their site.
Yeah. I believe Kanye just got banned, though, which is interesting. People had we could go down the road of Kanye. I know someone asked us in Discord, but the problem with Kanye is the stuff that he's saying is, to your point, you have the freedom of speech on a platform like Twitter and just in America, so it's not like he's going to jail for what he says. Mm-hmm. He is the outcome. He is a product of a man who's just broken, I think, which is kind of sad to say. But, I mean, he has no kids.
Listen, he said some bad things. No worse than what a lot of nobodies say every day on that platform. Yeah. And just because somebody has notoriety, more people are going to go to his site. But that's a double-edged sword, you know?
Yeah, that's very good. He's almost at that point where people go, okay, now it's a little dicey on Twitter.
Yeah. But again, you've seen some garbage that you probably see more than I do. I'm shocked at things that people write out there. And some
absolutely.
of them are celebrities, too, that get away with what they put down there. Anti-Semitic stuff, very racist comments, both ways, blacks and towards whites. And nobody is in a bother over Kanye.
The one that gets me the most is the amount of people that would wish harm on the president. I thought that was on anything, I thought that was illegal. I thought you couldn't. I'm pretty sure in this country...
You can't make threats against the sitting president of the United States. Well, I don't know if it's any president, but definitely a sitting president, because then the Secret Service is supposed to get involved.
Exactly, that's
the
what I thought.
FBI is supposed to investigate.
But for some reason,
good luck with that.
For some reason, all of those are... I mean, there's hundreds of them on Twitter, and no one says anything about Biden or our past president. How's that not taken down, at least, at a minimum? Because that is technically a terroristic act.
Yeah. They're supposed to investigate any threats against the President of the United States. Yeah. Now, is it a bot? Is it an actual person? I don't know.
I know
maybe
Twitter's
they
going
know.
Through the purges right now.
Yeah.
Missy, what are you doing?
I mean, I'm not a proponent of that for anybody, but it seemed to be an overdrive when Biden, but when President Trump came into office. Too much of it was they were letting it go. And they were using it. That's when it was convenient to say, well, free speech, okay? Mm-hmm. The same people that were screaming free speech, now they don't like it when conservatives are coming back onto Twitter. And, now I'm leaving because I believe in free speech and I don't want these conservative voices on there. They're dangerous. Okay.
Yeah. It's just funny how fast Twitter turned in the sense of all those people that were all anti-Elon buying this place. They all left. Everyone comes in and now Twitter's actually decent to be on now. It still has work. There's still a lot of bots, but I don't have the same agenda being thrown in my face. And I don't follow any politics or anything on Twitter. So that was just constantly... that was clearly Twitter. You see now that Twitter was pushing an agenda.
Yeah.
Right? And now all the people that don't go by an agenda are speaking their minds.
Yep.
And a lot of my stuff is still gaming, but at least I can see what everyone else is thinking about on Twitter.
Right.
Not just the loud left. Which is what Twitter was.
Right. You're getting another voice on there, and it's interesting because I've always said this. The left isn't... It's the silent majority is the conservative, and that's moderate conservative. I'm not talking about the nut jobs out there, the weirdos. Most of the country leans that way. Why? We are predominantly a Judeo-Christian nation. We have always been that way. So, meaning there's certain moral values that we as a nation lean on. The lefties make it sound like they want to be the majority, so they scream the loudest. They have the most provocative texts oftentimes, and they've gotten away with a lot, and they've pushed that envelope over the last few years because they've been the only voice out there, and they've been suppressing conservative voices for quite a while now.
Exactly.
It's interesting now. It seems like, all these conservatives are now on there. Really, I think it's just many of them coming back because they have options now. Not as big as Twitter, so they're all going back onto Twitter, but they had other platforms.
That was my big question to them. Like, the conservatives have Rumble, which is a conservative site. You have, name all of them, whatever. Getter.
Parler is back.
All the left had was Twitter, and the reason that is because no one wants to make another platform for the left because it's already...
Right.
Twitter was it. And now that Elon has not only destroyed the... Misty Buns. Stand right in front of the camera. Not only has he destroyed the left-leaning kind of agenda or the left bubble on Twitter, and it's a big bubble. Now that that's gone and they have nowhere to go, it's like, where they have to be more honest with themselves.
Just as a history lesson for everybody prior to social media, left-leaning news shows on radios and whatnot, they never lasted because nobody listened to them.
Yeah.
You had AM radio was loaded with conservative speakers, the Rush Limbaughs of the world, and the guy I read the last time, Paul Harvey. It always leaned conservative right. The only way the left's ever had a voice, and people may argue with me, but NPR, for instance, is considered a left National Public Radio. Mm-hmm. It's got to be funded by the government because they can't last without that.
Right.
So basically our tax dollars is funding left-leaning speech, which, not right. I disagree. If you can't fund it on your own, it shouldn't be there. But that's their way of saying, well, that's how we have to balance speech because it's all conservative. It's counterintuitive to the logic, that maybe people don't want to hear what the lefts have to say. It's an open market. they're not being shut out. There's just no interest in their messaging.
Yeah.
Same thing happened. The only way they lasted on Twitter was by suppressing the other voices.
But what's also funny is, let's just go to podcasting, or anyone who's like a person who's not a politician with a voice. Notice how I would say 80+% of them are all conservative. Bannon. Rogan tends to be more on the conservative side, even though he's pretty liberal. I would say he's down the middle. Well, I would say down the middle and right. You never really have anyone way left.
Bill Maher. James Stewart used to be more towards the left. But here's the interesting part, and I will agree with Bill Maher about this. Bill Maher is, like, he'll say, I'm not conservative. I'm just not an extreme lefty like the party has become.
He's someone that'll have a debate with you.
Right. I think he has. I think some of the things he said does lean a little bit more conservative, even though he doesn't want to admit it. He'll never say, I'll vote for Trump or some ridiculous thing, or DeSantis. He'll always say, I got to vote the Democrats. But there is something to be said for we have extremes. You have extreme left, you have extreme right. I think the extreme left has gotten a huge platform over the last 5 or 6 years. The extreme right, not as much. So you have a handful of the crazies out there.
Yeah. And
most things, even the lefties that people consider left, they look more like they're in the middle because it's so extreme.
Yeah.
Even the left-leaning commentators are saying, I'm not in that space. Sorry. I'm not into killing babies in the 9th month. Sorry. Or after birth. That's not my thing. That's considered a left platform that's become so extreme.
Yeah. And the last non-extreme left person I could think of was Tulsi Gabbard until she transferred over. She was like, I'm done with this.
She's not really left. She's never been lefty. She's a Democrat, but she's what I would consider a moderate Democrat.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like a moderate Republican.
I say sane person.
Yeah. There's a lot of moderate Republicans too.
Yeah.
There are a lot of Democrats. Well, I shouldn't say a lot. There's several Democrats right now who are saying, and this is another interesting thing. We'll see if something comes out of Twitter with this. We have to put our attention on that border. They've been in denial about our border for quite a while now. And some of these Democrats are in these border states, and they are being overrun with millions that are coming into this country.
Honestly, I think the immigration problem at this point is kind of the behind the scenes in comparison to the drug issue. The drug issue is getting out of hand from over that border. Okay. Now that the Chinese are working with the cartel, getting drugs over, it's bad, and people aren't talking about it. So.
Well, we just had a whistleblower this past week from the HHS, a woman who she just can't take it anymore. She says, I'm telling you right now, your tax dollars are funding these children being sent to quote-unquote sponsors' houses. There's 4 of them in Houston. She mentioned a couple, I believe, in Arizona, where they're basically brothels for these little children. Yeah. They have to pay for their trip over. Our tax dollars are financing that. They take those children and hand them to these quote-unquote sponsors. They have no idea who these men are. One woman knocked on the door. It was 40 men in the house and 20 little children. What are 20 little children doing being given to sponsors? This is what's going on at the border.
Yeah.
Now, for those of us who remember, everyone was going crazy because the previous president had these children in cages and they were wrapped in tinfoil because those were the blankets they used, okay?
Right. It's a heat blanket.
And they were taking them from their parents. They had to make sure these children belonged to these parents because people would kidnap children just to get over the border. You got special treatment if you had a child, okay? They needed to verify who these kids were they healthy, did they go back? That was the problem. And there were so many that it was a process. Everyone was up in arms about that. Okay, fast forward where we are now compared to where we were then. Okay, let alone the drugs, as you said, coming through. First and foremost, I'm concerned about these children. Where are they going? Who are they being handed off to? When I got an 8-year-old telling me she's being used by other men because she's got to pay to come to this country to the cartels. So we're funding the cartels with our tax dollars.
I think what's also funny is the fact that that wall that they didn't want has been finished. They completed the first half of the wall under the Biden administration.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is insane.
It doesn't matter because
they didn't
look at
want,
2 million coming over by the end of this year.
Yeah.
2 million more coming over.
We gotta clip Missy's nails. Do you have an article?
Well, mine weren't political. I didn't know you wanted to do too much with that. Did I have anything political? No, I don't think I did.
Well, I was just talking about how Elon's doing.
Yeah.
You went down the political.
Well, that is all politics.
Yeah,
That's why it matters.
That's the problem. He's Elon in the past month has flipped Twitter, which is something that we didn't think he would be able to do in a year, let alone a month. But it helps that there was so much junk in there that, I mean, he was able to open everyone's eyes. So good for him. Also, did you see that he's running Twitter on like 50 people right now and doing better than before?
Right.
They didn't need the 17,000 exploit.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
all
right.
those people that, if you feel sad for those people who were barely working.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's running Twitter right now with like a skeleton crew.
And hey, maybe explain this to me, this new trend of young people, like I say people in their 20s and 30s. They like to go on to, is it TikTok maybe? I think it's probably TikTok. They do these little videos about what their work day is like.
Yeah,
and they basically talk about they do nothing all day.
Yeah.
Okay? Twitter people did that, right? They did that before Musk came in.
I don't know where they posted that to, but...
Okay. I'm trying to understand, what are they trying to prove? Because all they're accomplishing is saying to their bosses that they don't need to be working.
Exactly, yeah. They think that I think the mindset is they think they figured out a loophole where they're making money and don't have to work as much, when in reality... It's not that. I don't know. Did you see the... I feel kind of bad for bringing this one up. But did you see the... there was a guy who worked for Starbucks who was like crying in a back room on TikTok about how these 8-hour days are way too long and I hate working 8 hours. It was probably a couple weeks ago, but it's like, hey, that's a normal work day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I don't understand. I just saw one today from a consultant. One of the big 4 consulting firms, a young woman, talking about how she gets breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a late night snack all on the job, and doesn't mention. Now, maybe she's doing work. I don't know. It didn't seem like it from the gist of the. But if she's making an effort to not show that she's doing work, if her manager finds that amusing, and then that manager finds it amusing, I gotta wonder. How are as a client paying the fees for that individual as a consultant? So a company pays another company who then pay their consultants to do the work. I'd be looking at this saying, why am I paying for this person?
Listen, when a company makes bedrooms for employees to sleep, that's how I know it's not a good company.
Right.
That's how I know people are slacking off.
Right.
Unless it's unless it's a hospital.
Well, mark my words. It's coming.
What?
The slap in the face to all these people, young and old, who think I can just keep coasting skate by, and they'll just keep funding my breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The economy cannot sustain that. I'm sorry. These businesses, people are struggling in the lower end, and it's a trickle up concept that, Coca-Cola doesn't need to hire consultants if they're not selling Pepsis because people can't afford to pay for them.
Yeah.
It's an example.
I think a lot of it has to do with the companies the big companies that were probably supposed to slash jobs and didn't, and then they kept them around because it was probably easier. The smart thing that Elon did was he fired a ton of people at once, so there's less paperwork. You can just do a mass exodus based on parts of the company. So say there's a part of the company that they really didn't need, you can just slash that whole thing, and it's easy. It's just one long piece of paper. Whereas going through everyone and firing them individually, that's what other companies would have to do, like a Coca-Cola or whatever, because there's so many people.
Right.
They probably just didn't bother doing it and decided they would eat the cost.
Well, in addition to that, along with Twitter, you've been aware of the Tim Cook situation, right, with Apple?
Yeah.
So someone brought up a good point. It might have been Ducey, or I think it was a woman at the White House press conference, and said, explain to me the difference that the president weighs in on what Elon Musk does at Twitter, and yet they say nothing about Apple suppressing a service for the pro-democracy movement.
For those of you that don't know, Twitter... Apple is threatening, they haven't done it yet, to take Twitter off the App Store.
No, I'm not talking about that.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about Apple took an app off their phone where you were able to communicate without going through the network, whatever that system was, because the Chinese government asked them to do it. Because there's a lot of riots right now and protesters over there in China. They're being locked down again, and the people have had enough. So they communicate to each other that way because all their internet traffic is policed by the CCP. It's a communist nation. So they had a phone-to-phone type of communication so the pro-democracy people can talk to each other. The CCP went in and said to Tim Cook and Apple, take that off. We don't want these people communicating with each other. It's totalitarian.
Wow.
And Apple
I
did
not
it.
know that.
Yeah, that happened last week.
So basically, what my mom's trying to say in our terms, basically imagine WhatsApp, but that's what I used to text my friends overseas. Imagine if you got rid of that so that you have to go through the cell phone services rather than using internet. So for us, it's reverse for them. So for us, you would use WhatsApp so that you don't use data. They have to use data for peer-to-peer, so phone to phone, instead of using their internet, which is all so that the government can see it. So instead of using Wi-Fi, they have to use cellular to talk to each other with no security. Without anyone watching, I should say.
It's Apple's removal of a Hong Kong protest app. What does it mean for democracy? But the point was, the White House did not weigh in on that at all. When you asked them about it, their comment was, well, that's a private company. We don't get involved in what they do.
Is that true? Is
Apple's
Apple
a private company.
Private? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a private. I mean, meaning it's not a government agency
right.
where they would weigh in on it. Okay? But yet they have no problem weighing in on what Elon Musk should be doing with Twitter. Technically, Twitter's not a government agency, although now, after these emails, they tried to make themselves into a government agency by doing the bidding of our government agencies. But that's a very good point. Why was it okay for the President of the United States to weigh in on what Twitter and Elon Musk is doing when that's a private company? Twitter's supposed to be a private company. If he wants to put all conservatives on there, he can. If he wants to do all liberals, he can. If he wants to censor, whatever, right? And yet, here we have a pro-democracy movement in China, right? Which, as Americans, we want to see democracy around the world. Mm-hmm. We would love to see the CCP taken down. They're oppressive. They enslave their people. They have no comment on that. Well, that's their business for Apple to do. So that's a hypocrisy on a huge level. And they have no answer for it. Well, obviously they do the bidding of this administration seems to favor the bidding of whatever the Chinese Communist Party wants.
Right.
And that's a problem. It's also a problem for Apple.
Yeah, but I wonder why they did. It's obviously because of the outsourcing, that they outsourced their phone factories and making the phones out in China.
They're they're owned by the Communist Chinese Party.
Yep.
That's what they get their cheap labor from.
Yep.
They make these phones for pennies and they sell it for $1,000.
I think the worst part is that they're at the point where they can't afford to do the labor here. Like, they don't have to, but they know that it's going to hurt their costs a little bit, so they won't do it.
Right.
It really, honestly, if they changed it, it would probably have no effect on their overall. They're still $1 trillion company.
Well, but they're not alone, and that's been our problem. And this was highlighted with the pandemic, right? Mm-hmm. We've outsourced all our businesses. We've gutted Middle America because that's where we used to produce things in the Midwest. We gutted it. We got all, and that's not from Biden. That started back with President Bush and Clinton and next Bush and Obama and kept going. We just kept outsourcing all our work. And China was more than happy to take over producing goods very cheaply. And then when electronics became big, that's why you got the Taiwan issue and everything else. So there's a history there. But now you're at a point where Apple is technically it's a global company, but a lot of these companies, they call themselves American companies, but they don't follow pro-democracy.
I think a lot of it has to do with resources. China has all the resources, literally.
China has no resources.
What do you mean?
All they have is slave labor. No, that's their problem. China would love to take over the United States, not because they love us. They want our resources. They want the oil under our ground.
They have all the stuff that we made.
Because we give that to them. They don't have it in their country.
I'm pretty sure they have the biggest lithium farm.
No. They get all their stuff from us. That's why they want Taiwan. That's why they do deals with Africa. They want our oil because they don't have the oil, the coal to run their country. They have the slave labor, or the labor, but it's slave labor.
Right. Besides being one of the largest world populations of gold, world's largest antimony, natural graphite, aluminum, steel, rare earths, barite, zinc, and tungsten. The third largest producer in the world of ore. So they have all the ores.
Third largest producer of ore. Okay.
Yeah.
But that's the point. China's end game, and remember, China's they don't deal in 4-year increments like we do in the United States.
Oh, hold on. 90% of China's resources are coal and rare earth materials. 90%, and they're third. So I don't know what are the top 3 resources in China. Coal, oil, natural gas.
Yeah, but they don't have enough to fuel what the number of people they have.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's why only a part of them get it.
And the production that they do over there.
Yeah, production is definitely their number one, but to say that they don't have any resources, I do not.
No, but they don't have the resources that they need for the number of people that they have. Why do you think they're buying up farmland over here?
Oh yeah, no question about that. That's true. Anyway, do you have any?
Okay, so my article was my first one was about. I thought this is kind of interesting. It's a solar snake. The title is Solar Snake Spotted Slithering Across the Sun's Surface. Okay, Dr. David Long from UCL Mullard Space Science Lab. He works for the Extreme Ultraviolet Imager, which is on a solar orbiter. It's been going around. So this was seen on September 5th, 2022. If you look at the picture, and I know you posted.
I'm going to look at the video,
Yeah. If you look at it, it's kind of cool. It's a tube of cool plasma suspended by magnetic fields in the hotter surrounding plasma of the sun's atmosphere. So basically, it's so hot there's no gas around the sun. It's all plasma. Because gas, when it's really, really hot, it throws off electrons and it becomes a plasma substance, which is another state of being. So all the sun's gas is because it's so hot. This photo is a time-elapse photo.
Right.
That took place for about 3 hours. But even at the 3 hours, it was 170 kilometers per second.
Yeah.
And it looks like, and it bounces off all the different, like gas and elements of the sun, and it creates like this snake.
It's like the ultimate solar flare.
Like a solar flare, but it's on the surface. Now, they think it might have been a precursor to a later eruption that happened on the surface of the sun.
You know what I find funny about this, though? There's some guy out there who just sits at a telescope all day, has waited 5 years for this moment.
Yeah. Well, it took 3 hours. He had to watch this thing go very,
yeah, but
very,
I mean, like, this is the first time he got his MD, his PhD back in the 70s, and he's just been sitting every day at some Hubble telescope waiting for his moment, and this was it.
Finally happened.
That does look really cool, though.
But the point is, it had a huge eruption after that on the surface, and those particles went flying, and some of them hit the solar orbiter. They were able to examine what it was. So they're thinking that these type of solar snakes could be a precursor for a bigger event on the surface of the sun. Because after it, there was an eruption. So that was kind of interesting.
I mean, are we surprised that the big ball of fire had an eruption?
Well, they didn't seem to be shocked the fact that it happened. I don't know. It didn't mention in the article if it was an unusual occurrence, but, maybe just that it was captured by the solar orbiter. But I just thought it was kind of cool to see. Yeah. My other one is, I think I had another one that was science-based. This one was definitely science-based. But
I think this picture's a rendering. I don't think that's a real picture. I think this is the real, like, see how different that is? I think that's the real one.
The video I think is more.
That's like a 3D rendering that they got somewhere.
Yeah, well, I hope people could see it if they go on your site.
Yeah, I'll throw it to...
and speaking of minerals, we were just talking about what China, the little that China has. So, 2 minerals never before seen on Earth. Uh-oh, it's not coming over. There we go. Right. Never before seen on Earth are found inside a 17-ton meteorite. It's called the Eli Ali meteorite. It was found in Somalia. It was 16.5 tons, but inside they had 2.5 ounce slice of it. Okay, the 2 minerals are called Ellalite, which was named after the meteor, the Eli Ali, and Elkinstantonite, and that was named after Lindy Elkins-Tanton. Why that person, and I think it's a woman, she's the managing director of Arizona State University. She's involved in the Interplanetary Initiative. I didn't get from the article her connection to this, but perhaps she's studying it. I don't know. Unfortunately, the meteor was moved to China for a buyer, which could limit some of the testing and the research that they could do with it. But I just thought that was kind of interesting. You don't hear that
I wonder what kind of... So they're just metals? My question is, what do you do with these
minerals?
Okay.
Minerals, yeah. Well, that's part of the reason why you'd want to research it, to find out, can we do something with it? Is it of any benefit? Does it give you some information about science? So hopefully if somebody buys it in China, it's some sort of research group.
Yeah. I wonder how much they bought it for, because it is a total of 6 centimeters.
Hasn't been bought yet. It was shipped to China to find a buyer. Why China?
I wonder why they get it first. Maybe they have the lab systems for it. I don't know. But, I mean, yeah, that's pretty... Is that you, Bubba? Are you
yeah, Bubba's here.
Must be, okay. Yeah, I mean, for it to be... It is a total of 6 centimeters, 5 centimeters, technically, big.
Like a slice.
Yeah, it's literally a slice, and they're like... I don't know what you could do with that.
Just test it.
It looks like clay. I'll throw a picture in, but...
Yeah, it's an interesting... yeah.
Mm.
So along the same lines, I'll follow up with this next one since you asked why China. Okay, so... I don't know if we talked about this. Probably not, because I haven't been on in a few weeks. But there was a meeting over in Europe, and the representatives over there decided that certain countries, meaning the United States, will be paying reparations to third world countries for climate.
Even though we're not the biggest for climate?
China doesn't have to pay.
Even though they're the biggest?
Yes. Okay, so this is a new thing from our administration. What's interesting about it, it's because of all the, the gases and the climate issues. This title of my next article, it's an opinion article, but it says 41% of climate scientists don't believe in catastrophic climate change. This is based on a major new poll.
41% of climate scientists, so specifically climate.
Yes. Now, they limited who they were asking on purpose.
Makes sense.
They didn't want, marginal people involved in this.
Oh, that is a great picture. Did you see that? That is a great picture for that.
They looked at fields such as meteorology, climatology, physics, geology, and hydrology. Nearly 3 in 5, or 57%, were members of the American Meteorology Society. Many scientists with degrees in natural science and social sciences were barred from the group. Okay? We don't need natural science. We don't need social science. I don't know why they limited natural science unless that's more like anthropological and not climate-based. But it's interesting because this comes on the heels of the COP, they call it, the COP 57 or whatever, where they discuss these reparations. So 4 in 10 believe frequency and the severity of extreme weather has increased in recent years. Only 4 out of 10 believe that, okay? Professor Richard Linson, who is involved in this, says the money funneled into the green-related projects may be adding to a lot of these scientists saying, there's an issue.
Yeah.
They get funding for this, including money goes into academia to support it.
Yep. That was the biggest issue that I had when I was in college.
Right.
Because
they get paid to say that it's...
Stuff. Yeah. And then if they say, if you're... Think about it. If you're a climate change person, your entire degree's in climate change, and then one day you find facts that say, hey, climate change isn't real, which isn't what we're saying, but I'm just saying, imagine.
Right.
I mean, your entire career is gone.
Right.
The major that you spent money on, like, there's more of an incentive to lie at that point than to do anything else.
Well, and the point was,
the degree.
It's not that there isn't a climate issue; it's that it's catastrophic.
Right.
That they're leading everybody to believe.
I was just
Armageddon's
using a harsh
coming.
example of like.
Right. But that's the difference. It's not. They're not saying that there is no climate change. They're just saying that it's not going to be catastrophic or a huge number of them,
or at least not at a fast point like they're saying. That's the biggest one.
Right.
Yeah.
And recent individual studies have shown that the data doesn't support a climate crisis.
Yes.
This is coming out more and more, and you have more scientists who may not be getting funding of any sort looking at the data and saying, you know what? It's not happening. Yeah. So obviously it is not being supported by the 97% of scientists that we always hear about. There's a number of them that are saying
97% of 100 scientists or something.
Right. And an interesting point too was
at one school.
Older scientists.
Mm-hmm.
They're more skeptical than younger ones, suggesting that the scientific community is indoctrinating a lot of young people with false data because they're looking at the data and saying something's not right here. Why do so many legitimate young scientists who are not, conspiracy theorists who are looking at research, why are they leaning towards it? And they're wondering if maybe they're being indoctrinated to believe this propaganda. A while ago, there was an article, and I want to say a few years ago, that said all these people that are claiming that there is a climate crisis, these scientists, are basing it on a set of facts. One institute that generates the data. They made a mistake, and they said they made a mistake. but nobody else out there who was using that data said, oh, maybe we need to look at it again.
Yeah, look it over.
Which is also playing into, when you hear these stories and a lot of people say, well, wait a minute, we know there's climate issues because these doctors all say it. They're all legitimate. Right, but you have to look at what they're basing the data on.
Yeah.
And if you go back levels and levels and levels, and you go to the original source, they specifically said a few years ago, oh, our numbers were wrong.
The source. Imagine, in the video game world, imagine if you had a line of code at the beginning, and that code was the basis for everything, and over decades, you've built code on top of that, and then you find out, hey, this original code was wrong.
Right.
You can't just go, okay, let's change some numbers. You have to get rid of everything and start from scratch,
right,
for the most part. I think a lot of them would say, how far off is it? It's not that bad, just continue. Right. And I bet you that has happened a lot over the years, and now they're like, yeah, this is a little too far gone.
Yeah.
Where it doesn't make sense.
And it doesn't take a lot. It doesn't take a lot. I mean, when we're talking climate change, it's only like a couple degrees every 100 years.
Every 100, yeah.
And it sounds bad.
It doesn't even.
Right.
It's like 1 year it'll be 2 degrees, maybe
right,
every 200 years or whatever, and then it goes down 1, and then up again, and then down 2, and then, so it's always changing.
Yeah.
To my understanding, again, I don't know if my data's right either, but
no, right, and over. I think a lot of scientists have said, yeah, it's increasing, but it's increasing by such a fractional amount that it's not warranted to say, oh, it's a crisis. Remember, I'm old enough to remember the world was going to blow up 20 years ago. Oh, no, a long time ago. 1973, we have 5 more years.
2000, year 2000.
Yeah, it's one thing after another. Someday it will happen. I'm not saying it won't, but it is what it is.
Definitely not in our lifetime, but...
No.
What's this one? Kids don't want money anymore?
Yes, I thought this was interesting. They
want a Bitcoin?
No, they want to be paid in Robux from the online gaming company of Roblox.
Yeah, really?
Roblox.
Oh,
yes.
Does it mean literal kids?
Yes, literally kids are getting their allowances in this type of money. They use it to buy virtual items.
Do you know what Roblox is?
Yeah, it's an online gaming company.
Yeah, so before Fortnite, Roblox is like that. It's Roblox. How do you describe Roblox? It's kind of like it's a game through the web. So it's actually pretty impressive what whoever created it is. But normally you would go through a Steam or all of them are web browser based.
Yeah.
So I'll say this about Roblox, and I do not play Roblox because I'm 26. If you ever catch me playing Roblox, beat me up on the street.
Yeah.
They have pushed the limits to what web browsing gaming can do. It's actually very impressive.
Yeah.
So. A lot of that stuff is in cosmetic items, to your point, but that's like Fortnite has that same thing, right? Elon has an account worth like $10,000. It's the same concept.
They use it to buy virtual items for $5 in the meta world. So things that would be hundreds and hundreds of dollars in the real world, they're getting, most stuff is under $10, according to what I say. Half the users of Roblox are under the age of 13.
Yeah.
So they're obviously getting funded by parents.
Wait. Hold on. You said something a second ago that didn't make any sense. So things that would cost hundreds of dollars in the real world.
Yes. These are virtual
I see what you're
things
saying.
they're buying. Right?
So I'm saying, in real life, a Lamborghini costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. In video games, it's only $5.
Yeah.
And the kids would rather have the $5 one that's in the game than the real one.
Well, obviously, parents are going to have...
Right.
Some parents are happy with it because
I'll buy you a Lambo.
Yeah, I don't have to buy her a Louis Vuitton pocketbook because it's only $5.
$100 of Roblox points for Christmas. I mean, a kid's gonna. He's the talk of the school. Mom.
Yeah.
He's the king of the school.
What was fascinating too, as an aside, the person in the article, his name is Joost van Drunen.
Joost van Drunen.
He's talking about this whole thing. He's a professor who studies the business of video games at NYU, but not even just NYU, the Stern School of Business, which is considered one of the top 10 business schools. So I just thought it was interesting. That's his job. That's, where the gaming industry is going, where it is now studied as a business course at NYU. So the revenue of Robux is about the revenue of 1.9 billion. Half of that comes from the sales of these Robux on the Roblox website. Okay, Chipotle tried to use it.
Yeah.
So Chipotle uses it as Chipotle burrito. You build it on Roblox. You make a burrito. You get virtual currency called burrito bucks that can then be converted into products. So they make it as a game. You build the burrito. You think about Chipotle. Come on in and you can get a a rice bowl, whatever.
Find this.
It can cost these businesses hundreds of thousands of dollars to create one of these games for them to do.
Yep.
But the companies do it because it's a great form of marketing. Okay?
So I don't think I ever said this on YouTube or talked about it. I know I told it to my friends, but a company reached out to me and they were making, at the time, they wanted to make the first game where you would get paid to play it. So I was using the crypto. It was a couple months ago.
Right.
They offered me to play it, and I wasn't sure if it was real or not, so I kind of held off on it. I wish I remember what the game was, but they were going to pay me to play that game through the crypto services. So, like, let's say kind of the opposite. Instead of buying skins, I can unbox these skins for free, sell them on the market, which technically we already do have with CSGO. But it would pay you out in cryptos. So I could get an eighth of an ETH or whatever.
Right.
I think it ended up failing, but at the time, I mean, a bunch of big YouTubers got in. And the only reason I was actually going to take it was because that way I could know the bigger YouTubers because I would be like at the forefront of that. But they said, hey, you're in. I go through the whole process, and they're like, hey, we were wrong. We're not letting you in. And I was like, God damn it. I don't know what happened there. And then they didn't reach out to me again. I was like, ah, crap. I forget what they did. They didn't respond back or something. But I wish I remember the game so I could call them out. But it ended up going downhill anyway, so I don't think it's that the company was fake. I think it just... This was like
FTX?
This was literally like right before the big crypto crash.
Oh.
So...
Yeah, maybe that's why they saw what was
they
coming.
couldn't do it. They realized, oh shit.
So Walmart has it. Nike has it. You can play basketball for coins. Eventually, you buy virtual builds. Minecraft has Minecoins. Fortnite has V-Bucks. That's probably what you were talking about.
But those are third-party ones. So that means that they're not through the companies or the game. Those are third-party people that are outside those companies and say, hey, you buy this at Walmart, I'll give you the coins. Right. You just have to proof of stake it, essentially.
Right. That's what the point was.
Yeah.
They also have Pokemon, Pokecoins, NFTs. As of 2021, the ages of 12 to 17 spent an average of $92 a month online. 12 to 17 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, I've spent, when it comes to online, I'm assuming that means the actual price of in-game buys.
Well, this was just an aggregate, $92 a month online. I don't know if that pays for stream, like for memberships too. I don't know.
No, my guess is that would be, because Roblox is free, so...
So it's just goods.
Yeah, so it's got to be just the cosmetic items. So it doesn't factor in the actual price of the video games.
Okay, and two schools of thought. So some parents, they have a real problem with using real dollars to buy virtual stuff. You're not really getting anything for it.
Oh,
right?
yeah. That's why I always yell at Alan. I'm like, Alan, you spent $3,000 in cosmetics. Right. What are you doing? Right. Something you're never going to use. Well, given they do appreciate over time. So Alan's account, when he bought those, right? I was yelling at him like 6 years ago. He spent probably $500 on Fortnite from when it started, but now that account's worth like $10K.
Right. So there is a market for it.
Yeah. You are taking a gamble, though. I mean, you're still putting in money.
It's like crypto coin, right? It's only valuable for what you have and if people want it, et cetera, et cetera. But the other parents who look at it and say, you know what? It's really no different than if I buy, a dress for a doll at the store. Yeah. And yes, it's something tangible, but instead she wants the dress for her character in this meta world thing.
And God forbid you forget the email and password that you logged in with. It's over.
These kids are...
It's over.
Some look at these pack purchases similar to gambling for kids. I didn't really get that, but I guess
it is.
They get addicted to it, and it's like you said, they add more and you get more.
Yeah, there was so CS:GO was the original Steam game that allowed. I wouldn't say the original. Technically, Team Fortress 2 was, but Steam has what's called, CS:GO has what's called unbox. Loot boxes. Jeez, I don't know why I struggle with that. So I pay $2 for a key. You have a random chance at getting a weapon that is worth more than that $2.50. Some of those virtual guns go for thousands of dollars, right? But there's no guarantee you're going to get one. So it's gambling to a certain extent. And the argument is, well, kids under the age of 21 are playing this game. Right. So and doing these. There are people that don't even play the game. They make all their money on that market.
Well, they were talking about these packs. You buy the things in packs, card packs. But, you used to get gumball packs. You know, you got a piece of gum with it, which I guess that's what you were paying for, but you got baseball cards with it. And you were gambling that you were going to get a valuable card in there. You know, it's the same thing, only now it's virtual. So, I don't know, kids are getting addicted to it. I could see that happening.
I think the ease of getting addicted to it is higher because now it's just throw your credit card in. I could buy 1,000 cards if I want to.
Right.
Whereas gumball, it's 50 cents. You're only going to get 1, 2, 3 maybe gumballs, and then you're out.
Right. Or sticks of gum with the cards. But I meant more with the cards, like the Pokemon cards. You buy a pack of cards, you don't know what's in there.
Yeah, that's true as well. Pokemon cards, I mean, some of those are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars.
You're paying, what, $5 hoping you get a pack with
a
valuable card in there.
Well, I think the only difference is in the gambling is even though you're not getting that $100,000 card, you have a pretty good chance of making your money back. I would say it's like, let's say 25% chance that you're going to at least you're going to make some money on that. You're not going to get all cards worth zero. Most of them are worth at least a couple cents. Right. But you're still making money back, so I think that's how they get through it, get by.
The point was, what's the difference between doing it in the meta world and doing it at a candy store?
Yeah, I think it's ease. I think it's ease of use in that you're targeting. Excuse me. If you have a game that's rated E, which means E 10 and up, I believe, or maybe it's below. It has to be below 10. So you're still catering to 10 and under or 12 and under. That's gambling. That's underage gambling.
Yeah.
So that's why most games nowadays don't have loot boxes because they became illegal.
Well, what's interesting is that these kids have their own accounts on these sites, or do parents finance it? Are kids using their money?
Parents finance it, yeah. So parents finance it, but like kids, if you have a credit card and you know how to put it in, it's more of does the kid know how to put in a credit card information?
Well, a kid shouldn't have a credit card.
Right.
Unless
well,
the
if you're using
parents
mom and
gave
dad's,
it to them.
yeah.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. That's fraud. They're not supposed to do that.
Absolutely.
It's supposed to be like 18 and older doing it. So technically, it's an adult who's looking at what they're buying and saying, okay, you could use this money to buy the card. Does it happen? No. I mean, that's like the old, when you go to the gaming store and things were rated M, and you had to have your parent buy the game. But at least then the burden is put on the parent for allowing the kid to have it.
Whereas, but CSGO, I mean, it's not saying, are you 18 or older? It's just buy.
What do you use to buy with, though?
The money. That's real money.
A credit card or actual money?
Credit card.
So it has to be an adult putting the credit card on, unless it's an
account of an adult. Or I have my parents' credit card, and then like there's been so many cases of people that donate to streamers on their parents' credit card. It's like tens of thousands of dollars.
Right, but that's fraud. I mean, technically, they're not supposed to do that unless a parent says, I don't care, use the card, do whatever you want to. But the burden's still, the responsibility is still that of the parent. They own that card. Now, you could give a card to a kid. People do that. But it's still under the adult's account.
Yeah.
And that's up to the adult to make sure that the money is being spent. Yeah. So if they set it up online, it's not the kid, it's the adult that authorizes, unless they, quote unquote, steal mom and dad's credit card, at which point mom and dad have to see on their credit card statement, hey, who's buying Roblox?
Yeah, I think that's the other big factor in the other argument is if you only have one family computer and all your information's on there and then your kid wants to play video games on it sometime, and they go, oh, I can buy this right now. That used to happen a lot in Fortnite. There was a kid that spent like $10K in Fortnite V-Bucks or whatever it's called, and luckily the parents were able to get their money back. But still, it's so easy to do. It almost caters to kids.
And also speaking to as an adult, you guys were older by the time you're in that process. You guys could have done that all the time. I would have had no idea. Not with my credit card because I treat that like I don't even give that to dad.
yeah.
Having said that,
you guys got to see. How my mom has a stack of cards like this. My mom has way too many.
No, they're not all mine.
Oh, okay. I thought those were all. No, I've seen a rubber band. I remember I would see. I'm pretty sure at some point there was a stack of credit cards and debit cards or whatever of all these
my shopping cards and
all these accounts that you had. It was like this thick of just cards.
Well, everybody had. Well, that's a perfect example. Everyone had one in college, but it was my credit card, and I got one in everybody's name. So you guys had it for emergencies, right?
Oh yeah, that's right. So when I started college, and I'm sure with Kenny and Michael, and when you guys start college, or if you already
we didn't have credit cards in college.
I'm talking about me. When you did your credit cards, you and I technically share a credit card in college.
Right.
Yeah. And then you had to do Kenny with Michael.
Well, we didn't share it. It was my account, and I had them give you credit based on me. So you had your own credit card because you didn't have a job, you're a student. Same thing with your brothers for emergencies, right? But I still had access to all the information. So the burden was on me because it was my credit card. If you were out there buying things at Fortnite, I'm going to see on there, Chris, what is this stuff, right? Even though you were a legal adult and you could do it, it's still my credit card, right? For younger kids, the burden is still on the parents to know. If a kid goes in and takes the information off the computer, they're not supposed to do that. And parents need to educate this $10,000 kid. Hey, no, that's not what it's for. You don't just grab our credit. That's like stealing money out of somebody's pocket.
Right.
Even though it's your parent. But I don't know how old the kid was, and it probably was just like an innocent, oh, I could use this card and buy all this stuff. Oh,
Nowadays, the loot boxes got really bad in video games when it was pay to win. So that literally means what it says. Like, you were paying. Like,
that's crazy.
You can either play the game or you can pay to win.
Pay to win.
Star Wars had a big problem with that because you can either, because no one wanted to put 50. So there was like 10 characters you can get. And then it would take, someone did the math on it, it would take like 50 hours just to get one character. Or you could just pay $100 on top of like whatever the base game was, so $60.
Well, and I never understood this reality of older kids playing like Minecraft, getting it to a certain point and then selling it. So some kid doesn't do the work. They would create an account, like a Minecraft account. Okay. I guess you build and you get points and whatnot. And then they get it to a certain point, and then they can sell it to another kid who could then buy a higher level and start working on your level. So they didn't do the work. They're paying for somebody else to do it.
Where'd you hear that? That's kind of...
That's old school. I mean, when you guys were younger, I used to hear your brother and his friends doing that.
That was back when I can see that happening, but normally that's just like what would be considered moderator privileges. So let's say if I had a mod, so if I was the owner of a server, I built this house, right? And I got to a point where I was like, I'm kind of sick of this. Let me get more people that can pay me, or I can pay them to build it for me. And that's not what I understood it. I understood. You should ask your brother that question. They had a Minecraft account. And you build things with it, and I guess you get levels and credit and whatnot. So it takes effort to do that. Once they got it to a certain point, they could then sell their account to another person who would pay them money, and they would take over that account and keep building on top of it. So they didn't have to do the work. Okay, a little off there. I see what you're saying. Yeah. So what you can do is when you create something, it's called a seed. So that means like when you build a seed, it's a randomized generation for that map. You can make changes and save the seed so that the house stays there. So there's websites that will actually say, hey, here's the seed for this house I built. I'll sell it to you for $5. It's a copy. So I still keep it, but it's a copy that you can add and build to. Okay. So it's a little different. You're technically selling the blueprints of something. Kind of like if...
I think that's what it was. But for young kids were buying it because they didn't want to do the work. Or they weren't able to get to that level. And they were buying it like a ready-made advanced thing, and then they're acting like they owned it, even though they didn't do anything to build it.
That was back when you have something called survival and creative in Minecraft. Creative, you have unlimited blocks, you can fly and shit and just build whatever you want. Whereas survival, you can't do that. You have to physically make everything. You have to build stuff. And if you have 50 people working on one house, you'll get through it pretty quick. If you're one kid, I'm going to pay the $20 for that Hogwarts castle.
They jump certain levels, right?
I mean, some people make... I mean, it's nuts. Minecraft. Let's show my mom Minecraft Hogwarts.
Just realized I never got my coffee. Now it's going to be too late.
Yeah. So, what's wild, just to look at, look at that. That is a 1-to-1 scale of Hogwarts in Minecraft. Oh, that would take, Mom, that would take me 2 years to build at least. As one person. So why wouldn't I just buy that? Like, that's fully walkable with all the moving parts.
I get it, but there's like, I don't know. It just.
I'm with
the point?
You.
I mean, it's what are you doing here? It's a game. Where you're going with this? That you got to jump frog.
I mean, look at that. That's all. The tower.
It's beautiful.
But
you know what? Life's about the journey, not the destination.
Yeah. Say that to Knox here. Look at that. Yeah. That's the whole tower. That's the new addition.
But he didn't build it. He bought it built.
No, these are the built ones.
Oh, they're the built ones. Okay, so
but
he earned it, or she earned it.
Mom, that would take 3-5 years to build myself.
But, by myself. If somebody's into Minecraft, it's like me buying a puzzle half done. What's the point? I want to do the puzzle.
But I think you're underestimating the amount of time it would take to build something like that.
No, I get it. Yeah. Okay.
When you have to physically get the materials for it. We're not talking, here's a block. It's, hey, let's build the block and then build the tower.
Okay, well, here's something similar, okay? Did you see about the soccer this week?
Which
the World Cup?
So much about
with the women's soccer and the men's winnings?
Oh, yeah,
Okay. Now, speaking as, I'm not going to call myself a feminist, but I'm of the generation that, wanted women to get ahead in business and whatnot. They're just going to have to give half their winnings to the women's soccer.
Yeah, which is insane. I don't understand where they think that's coming from.
How is that equality? They didn't earn it.
Yeah, they got wrecked.
Yeah, it's so patronizing, and they created that environment to be patronized. The men will win it, and they'll give you half the money.
Yeah.
Thank you, Megan Rapinoe and all. You did not advance the cause at all. I mean, that's just absurd. If they were to win the whole thing, which I think they're not going to, but it's like $42 million, the women will get $21 million of that.
Which is ridiculous, yeah.
And it would be ridiculous if it was reversed, too. Why should the men get the money if the women earned it?
You wouldn't even hear about it.
Right. So I'm back to, along the lines of these things. It's about the journey. It's not about the end. Yeah. It would mean so much more if the women got to a point where they won the championship and they got the audience to generate the revenue, etc., etc. To just have it handed to them, I mean...
Ridiculous. But, just so you know, Discord now has added a way to earn money. So now you can update your server. I only bring this up because someone asked, hey, are you going to do this? So... This is kind of an overall thing that I really don't like, in the sense of I feel like I hate how all this free stuff is now becoming monetizable, if that's the word, being able to monetize.
Let's go with it as a word.
Yeah, I think I just made it up. Throw it in the definition. That's going in the pancake dictionary.
Pancake spelt wrong.
Yeah. I feel like, what the hell dictionary is this? So basically you're going to be able to, so we have a server. I don't even know if you've seen our server. But this is ours, where everyone posts memes and stuff. The memes, the stuff that we do, new videos, game ideas, podcast questions, and then someone wanted me to put workout stuff. But now you could do it from like a monetization standpoint where now, you want to view this? That's $5. If you want a certain level in the Discord.
Our pearls of wisdom?
Yeah, our pearls of wisdom. Yeah. It's like, listen, I get it's nice that creators make money off more stuff, but let's think of let's take a huge streamer, for instance. They're making money off your stream. Yeah. They're making money off subscribers. Yep. They're making money off advertisers. They're making money off donations. Not followers, but I'm sure they're making money in other ways. Now, on top of that, they're going to be able to monetize their Discord servers. I get the money aspect. You want to make money, but at a certain point, you're going to start turning away viewers, right? Yeah. You're almost... There's no YouTuber or streamer out there that I personally care enough about that I'm going to spend this much money on someone, right?
It's like just McDonald's charging for the ketchup package.
Those bastards! 25 to 50 cents?
They started charging for the Chick-fil-A, the honey mustard. Remember that? At McDonald's? If you only wanted more than one, they started. What bastards. The hell? That's when I stopped going to McDonald's.
Yeah. Big Macs are sick, but now that the recipe's on the internet, who cares? Yeah, McDonald's, get out of here. 50 cents more. But that's kind of the same equation. You just bought the meal. It comes with free sauce. Now here's another free sauce, but now it's not really...
Not free.
It's not free, and you're getting less if you don't buy
it. Right.
So... I really hope Discord really figures this shit. It's not Discord's fault. Let me not say that. It's not Discord's fault. I just hope that the people that have these big servers of like hundreds of thousands of people, that might be too big, 50,000 people, I hope they're not getting to the point where they're this greedy and they start taking away from a free service.
Yeah,
that's where I go, hey, let's not do that. Bad idea.
So they're not even getting charged. They're just tacking on $5 for you to do it.
Right now, if I wanted to, I don't have the things right now, but if I wanted to, I could put all of the people in our Discord behind a paywall.
Yeah,
which is insane. Like, how fast do you? I don't even know what to say to that. Like, I think it's just so stupid that.
Yeah, you get too greedy that.
Yeah, I don't think that's what Discord wants, but you know that big YouTubers are going to take the advantage of that, 100%. They haven't exactly said what you can and can't do yet with it, but I really hope it's not, hey, join this server for $5.
Right.
Yeah, that would be gross, in my opinion. But I really only have one gaming news, which is Microsoft is ready for its $69 billion Activision deal. Now, this is a big deal, brother, because Activision is Call of Duty.
Yep.
If Microsoft buys out Call of Duty, that means that you can't get it anymore on PlayStation.
Oh,
which is a huge issue for the kids that... Remember, there are kids out there that...
Can we finally get rid of the PS4, PS3, PS5 that we have in the house?
Well, I'd play more than Call of Duty, though. There are kids out there that only play Call of Duty.
I know.
Right? So, if you're that kid that has a PS5 or PS4, and they just said, hey, we're buying out...
I know. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a pretty big deal.
And you only own a Mac.
Yeah. Jeez.
Damn! Damn you, Apple!
Apple's never been good for gaming, though. So
no,
no one really cares.
That's true.
But
now they're not good for democracy either.
Microsoft is ready to fight. As I said, Xbox has offered remedies to the FTC person familiar. I actually don't even know what that means. EU and UK enforcers have raised concerns about the transaction. Yeah, because then you're creating a monopoly. Once you create that monopoly, because I would argue that 80% of gamers have the newest Call of Duty. Like 80%.
I thought a lot of games you could play on different platforms.
Yeah, but if Xbox buys it out and you can't play it on PS5, everyone has to get an Xbox to play with their friends. It forces them to either go PC or Xbox.
So usually the gaming companies like Sony, they don't own the games.
They're considered it's kind of weird how it works. There's a lot of steps to how it works. But basically, like, you own the rights. Sony is the publisher, but a company makes it. So you have the developer, the publisher, and then the console owner.
Right, so you used to be able to get Call of Duty on the Xbox. You get it on PS5. You could get it on, I don't know, whatever else.
PC.
Now you're saying that Xbox is going to buy it and only Xbox can play it.
Mm-hmm. They're going to monopolize it. Yeah. But no one's ever done that. Because it makes more people want to buy Xbox. For those kids
that's true. The apparatus.
Yeah. Because most people right now are definitely willing to give up PS5. Because when you think about it, Microsoft has really stabbed them in the heart.
Yeah.
Right? They have that free Xbox Pass that I told you about where you just pay for the year and you can play any new game for free.
Right.
Whereas a couple months before that, PlayStation was like you can have all the PS4 and PS5 games from before, not any new ones.
Right.
Xbox says, hey, we'll do that and more, and now they're going to buy out the biggest game by far.
And that's the issue Mike was having when he was home, right? He couldn't play certain games on the 5.
Yep.
He needed the 4.
Yeah.
Just pacing upstairs waiting for you to finish with your podcast.
Yeah, we were finishing up God of War at the time. Phenomenal game.
Is he done yet? Is he done?
Is he? Was he saying that? Yeah. 11.
I kept saying he'll be done at 11. It was like 11:05. Is he done yet? Oh my gosh.
So this is interesting. I don't know what... PlayStation has to make a play here. I don't think right now they can afford a $69 billion Activision deal. So I truthfully do not know what's going to happen to PlayStation. I think Sony's going to end up... what Sony has to do is they have to start...
Sony won't go poor. We know that.
Yeah, I mean, Sony makes TVs too, and so they're fine in that regard. Same with Microsoft. I mean, Microsoft makes freaking computers, for God's sakes. But
I don't think the PS5, did as well. Remember,
well, that's
it
what I was
wasn't
just about to say.
for long.
The problem is they didn't make a lot of them.
Yeah.
Right, and now they're blasting them for Christmas, but they tried to make a luxury product for the PS5, ended up not working because people either couldn't afford it during a crisis we were in where everything was plummeting, like the market and everything.
Yeah, that was before the lockdowns when people were buying those things, right?
And now... I mean, it's just terrible timing.
Yeah.
So they tried to play we're a luxury console now, and it's just not working. They're trying to think that they're like the Bugatti of gaming, and it's just not. So if Microsoft ends up going through this deal, which I don't know if the UK and EU will allow it.
What happened to that marketing person?
Oh, 100%. At Sony? Yeah. Jeez.
Japan.
I don't know how Nintendo still goes around. Yeah.
The Japanese.
Yeah. Harry Carey.
Yeah. It has a name.
Yeah, it's I know it's
suicide. Kill themselves for shame.
Seppuku. Yeah.
Bad marketing idea. The
Yeah,
special PS5.
Yeah, they blamed the chip shortage that we had, which really wasn't true. And they have to make more of them and lower the price by $100, and then they're in the money. But again, right now, video games aren't that. The exclusives are not very good. So the only exclusive that Sony has is God of War, and God of War is probably going to win Game of the Year. So that's literally the only thing that's going to keep them.
But you can play that on. You only can play that on
PS5.
Play that on
PS5
or
right
PS5.
I believe the rights. I think their contract deal. I forget who makes it. Their contract deal. 2 years from now, they can release it to PC, but never to Xbox. That's the deal.
Epic Games, do they make it?
No, God of War is. I don't think that's. God.
I feel like you've told me that before, and I can't remember now.
I'm not even sure what it is. God of War Ragnarok. Santa Monica Studios. That's right.
I know that one. All right. Well.
Last thing we have to talk about. The biggest news of the week. The Liver King.
Oh yeah, the Liver King. I forgot you want to talk about the Liver King.
Computer connection is offline. Oh no. Is that true? Did our internet go down? Maybe that's true. Doesn't really matter. But yes, so for those of you that don't know, the Liver King, our boy.
Liar.
Oh, servers. Oh, it's not us. It's
He's a liar.
He's a liar. So the famous TikTok star, Brian Johnson, or Brendan Johnson, whatever his name is, got caught for steroids, and my life is completely changed. No, I mean, anyone who knew fitness knew that this guy was on steroids. It's not that big of a deal. But the problem, my mom doesn't really know the Liver King, but essentially he was a guy that was pushing a supplement for many years now, Liver is King, and pushed an ideology called the 9 foundations or rocks of just living a good life. And what's interesting about this is even though he took steroids and all this stuff, the healthy lifestyle that he lived was the good message. So it really didn't matter if he took steroids or not. So for those of you that are like, oh, is the Liver King, is it over for him? No, I think he's going to be fine. I think people understood. Like, if you're surprised by the Liver King taking steroids, you're kind of an idiot.
Ginkgo biloba ain't giving you those arms.
Yeah. But you, so the way
doesn't give you that.
What happened was one of his old trainers or current trainers released what he was taking before he got famous and what he still takes to this day for all of his steroids and TRT and stuff that he takes. And the question is, why did that guy do that? Like, why would you turn your back against the Liver King?
Yeah.
Maybe he wasn't going to pay. Who knows? That we'll probably never know. But I will say that on that schedule, when he was telling his doctors, like, I do this, this, and this, so this is why I need this, this, and this. Mm-hmm. He was working out 14 times a week. So his lifestyle, you got to understand, steroids don't cause you to just be big like that. You got to work out and put the work in.
Yeah.
That's why I always knew he wasn't natural, but I did think that it was possible to get to a certain level that he was at without any performance-enhancing drugs.
Right.
And when you're working out 14 times a week, so 7 days a week. Well, actually, I think he takes Sundays off or whatever, but 14 times a week, plus eating raw meats, taking in 5,000 to 6,000 calories a day, which is a shit ton. Mm-hmm. That's double what that's what the average power lifter eats. Mm-hmm. If you're at a World's Strongest Man competition, right. I think it's less if you're just like an average person. No offense, but that's a lot of calories. So I was like, maybe it is possible that he got to that naturally, just having crazy genetics, which he does have. Mm-hmm. But to take that many steroids and be offering a pill saying, hey, it's not that he was saying, hey, you're going to look like this, but you were denying steroids for a year now, saying I never dabbled in them and whatever. Right. You're still kind of lying to people about what... It was implied that you were saying that if you take my pill, you'll look like this, and follow my rules, you'll look like this.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. Everything he says is healthy. Everything he says you should do, which is arguably why he didn't talk about his steroid use. Some people should not be taking steroids. Some can, some shouldn't. Mm-hmm. But I also think that this isn't the first time we've seen stuff like this. I mean, it was more egregious back in the day with Ronnie Coleman giving his... who's much bigger than the guy who's... Have you ever seen Ronnie Coleman?
No.
Ronnie Coleman was I don't even know when his last bodybuilding competition was, but I mean,
well, the issue I have
that's
with
Ronnie
him.
Coleman.
Oh, come on.
That's
Yeah,
Mr. Olympia.
Okay. Is
Yeah.
he the one who died recently?
No.
Oh, okay.
He's the one that you'll see is always in a wheelchair now, though.
I have no problem with it until he
That's him now.
claims.
But look at those legs.
Oh, yeah.
My God.
It's funny. Dad was laughing so hysterically when Mike was doing the
lat
posing.
spread,
The
yeah.
lat spread. I don't have a problem with it until he makes it sound like he's a guru, like a health guru over it.
Yeah.
Once you throw the steroids into the mix, now, I'll put it this way. Supermodels, okay? You get these bitches out there who were genetically born to be 5'8", 6'2", which is unusual or not common for a woman. Bone structure, because not any of them beautiful, but let's say the beautiful ones. That's thanks to their parents and genetics. They had nothing to do with it. They were just born that way, okay? But their job is to be in shape, to be skinny. They wake up in the morning. That's their 9 to 5 job, to go to a gym, to work out, to eat or not eat, as many of them do. And it always would bother me when these young people, maybe it was true, oh, I eat hamburgers, I eat whatever I want to, and I weigh 92 pounds and I'm 6'1". Baloney. Then you come to find out they take amphetamines. Or, not all, but many of them do that to stay skinny. It's very misleading. It's very unfair to a lot of, especially young, impressionable girls who think, oh, I could look like that, if I starve myself or whatever. These people aren't just starving themselves. And it's unrealistic. This is their job every day. They have cooks that make them that salad with a squirt of oil on it to eat. And, you only see them walking through Starbucks like they're eating smoothies. I don't think so. They're drinking black coffee because it makes their heart race. And for them to turn around and say or imply that they're healthy, that's where it gets wrong.
Yeah. So, Liver King was taking IGF-1LR for a year, CJC. I'm just trying to test. He was only taking 0.66 Cs per week, cruise overdose. He wasn't taking anything that was that crazy. So, again, he is blessed genetically. Optical for 6 weeks.
Well, he's taking a steroid and didn't mention it.
Well,
so
he's taking 6.
Right. So obviously he knew that there would be an issue when he's trying to promote a healthy lifestyle. His words, or his lack of words, put it that way. I don't know anything about those steroids, but the fact that he excluded that from his health plan till recently, that tells you he sees that as some sort of an advantage.
I'll say this, though. He never said to the people, the stuff that I do is going to make you look like this. I'm just going to make your life better. So, just healthier and whatever. You don't have to take the steroids, and you can still follow his plan.
Fine.
You'll be fine.
Yeah, right. If he wasn't making it like you look like me.
Him saying on podcasts and whatever, saying, hey, I have never done PEDs. I get it. You kind of have to say that because you own a supplement company, and it will tank the supplement company, which we're probably going to see in a couple days.
Well, and that is misleading. So if he's leading people to believe that he has the physique he has just from the supplements that he takes and his lifestyle, that's misleading. Yeah, and that is wrong.
Yeah, I think he never said it, but it is implied, and I think everyone knew that it was implied.
Right.
So I think that's where it gets a little dicey for him.
Right.
I also think that
now what he could do is to go off the steroids and see realistically what he would look like.
Here's the problem when you do that. You can't really, when you take in that many things, and I'll post it for you guys, when you cycle off, it's pretty dangerous. You're set for life with this, in the sense of, yeah, you can get off of it, but you have to, it's called cycling off. You have to basically...
Well, that's what I'm saying. He should cycle off and let his viewers know, let's see what happens to my body with the healthy living. I won't be as big, or I won't have the muscle mass, but I'll still be very healthy, or whatever. That's the only thing that can save him.
The problem with that is when you're working out as much as he is, I bet you the steroids weren't for the actual strength that he was going to get. It was more so the recovery. So the problem is a guy like that is going to get off this stuff, try and do the 14 times a week, and he's going to seriously injure himself.
Well, are his viewers aware that he worked out 14 times a week as well?
Oh, yeah. Again, that's why I kind of give him... It sucks that he was not being honest about PEDs, even though we all knew he was taking stuff. Like, if you thought he was natural, you're an idiot. That's like saying The Rock's natural. It's like, come on.
Or a supermodel is just that skinny. They're not. They make themselves that way, but they don't tell you about the amphetamines or that they're anorexic and they don't eat food and they throw up food. So for a young girl, and I'm not going to say a child, but like a teenager who idolize these women who think, I'm going to be like that. Oh, sure, I eat 8 hamburgers a week. You know, when they lie and say things like that to normalize themselves, like they're natural beauties and that's their natural body. It's just not true. Same thing with him. Who could work out 14 times a week?
I think he does. That's the thing. Like,
but that's his
I think
job. No, I know, but that's his business.
Bobo, you guys
realistically, for people who are, have jobs and a life who want to look like him, they got to understand they can't do 14-hour workouts a week.
I think that, but the also disingenuous thing is, like, look at all these big celebrities who are in these superhero movies. All of them are on stuff. That's not even a question.
Right, but they're not promoting.
Right, but they're still lying.
The life of,
because you're saying they're not promoting. You're right. They're not promoting this is a healthy lifestyle. But like when a guy like Henry Cavill, who I love, says this is my gym workout. If you do this, you have a good chance of looking like me. It's kind of the same.
Well, if they say that, that's true. I don't know that they say it, but that's their job.
Yeah,
they have to look a certain way.
That's Liver King's job too for his supplement.
Well, no. Their job is to be the actors in the show and to look a certain way as that character. He's trying to say, this is me as a human being and that's my life. Okay? And if you do these things, if you work out, right there, to tell the average person you got to work out 14 times a week, most people
can't do that. That's not what he's saying. That he did not say. That was just his schedule. Okay. But people know, hey, you just got to figure out these, he had like these 9 tendencies that would increase happiness, increase testosterone, to look more like me or to get whatever, which is true. I mean, technically he's not lying because your testosterone is going to go up doing these things. If you eat liver, it's going to go up. Liver is nature's multivitamin, what they call it.
But he just left out a small fact.
And it's a big
steroids.
fact.
Exactly, that's my point.
Luckily, nothing that he was taking. Like, this is what we would call maintenance steroids. The only thing that might be a little high is it doesn't have his ibuprofene, but his
Chris,
like Winstrol is something you don't want to
The fact that he didn't give that information.
Yeah.
He knows that it's an enhancement that you wouldn't have the average person. Wouldn't be able to achieve what he achieves, and he purposely left that out. So,
and what sucks about this is he's so genetically gifted that if he didn't take all this stuff, he would still be in phenomenal shape. Like, he would still be in superhero shape.
I guess he doesn't agree.
Well, at a certain point, this is more so for recovery rather than I'm trying to get bigger. Because again, if you're working out as much as he is, you're gonna seriously hurt yourself and be sore all the time unless you are taking this stuff. 14 times a week is insane. Do you know anyone who works out 14 times a week in 6 days?
Well, I mean, I'm sure this is an intense workout. No, I know a lot of people that'll work out twice a day.
Yeah.
Women will run twice a day. They'll do it when they're trying to lose weight. Right.
Workouts. He's genetically gifted either way, no matter how you spin it.
Yeah.
If he came out when he first got famous on TikTok and said, hey, listen, I do all this stuff. I also take this. I don't know if you legally can. There's got to be some legality issue to it to saying, hey, I take this stuff. I could be honest with you, but I don't I don't know if that's considered promotion towards kids because TikTok's so random. I think there's certain TikTok laws.
Do you remember Legally Blonde, the show? The woman was going to go to jail for murder because she didn't want to divulge. She was a fitness guru. She didn't want to divulge that she was getting liposuction. That was her alibi. That's why she killed her.
If that's the same.
They don't want to... They have this mystique, that this lifestyle, that she's a workout guru and she's in great shape and she had classes all over LA. Reality was, the joke of it, she even said, you just can't get those 5 pounds off. No human being can do it. She had to get the liposuction. But that's not what she was trying to convince people with her healthy lifestyle. Oh, you could look like me. You could be perfect like me. That's the downside. And that's why... I always appreciate, because, you'll see all these actresses or these attractive women that have kids. And they make a big deal about how, oh, look at her post-baby body 3 weeks later, right? And these women are incredibly skinny, and it's amazing. And it's very disheartening for the average woman. And finally, I forget who the celebrity was, came out, and she goes, listen, I have a nanny. I have a chef. I get up in the morning, it's my job to go work out. Most moms can't do that with a newborn baby. Finally, somebody was being honest and saying, they blew away that mystique of, oh, I just wake up from bed after giving birth and I'm beautiful. It's just not reality. Work goes into it, or you have a staff that does it. And for young people, and, a lot of young moms feel like losers because they don't look like, Miss TV personality who managed to drop 30 pounds in 2 weeks. And this person struggling with 20 pounds for 4 months. So I'll say same thing with the Liver King. He leaves that interesting fact out that he recovers using his medicines. Well, the average person didn't know that. And maybe they can't do that workout because they didn't recover. And they're feeling like losers because they don't look like him and they're doing everything he said they did. So, even though the steroids didn't bulk him up, they were benefiting him somehow that he wasn't telling other individuals who were trying to copy his lifestyle and may not be achieving it, which adds to this whole, I'm so special
I think it's going to hurt him a little bit in the sales, but I think, again, he's going to be fine. He's still the Liver King, and I do think that he still teaches a healthy lifestyle, whether he takes steroids or not. So I think any fitness influencer or most fitness influencers, I won't make the claim, but I would make the argument that a lot of those guys that you think are natural, like those TikTok kids, probably are not natural. I know a lot of people that look natural that are not natural. Mm-hmm. So I would take any fitness instructor with a grain of salt just assume, I know this is a harsh claim, but just assume that most fitness influencers, those that do fitness, to keep up with their competitors, you got to be taking stuff. Like, that's why we have something called the natural bodybuilders. Yeah. We're not natural.
Here's the thing. Somebody like the Liver King, he's developing his body for a particular type of people, not the average person.
That's what I don't think he's building his body. He's building a lifestyle. So you kind of hit it there. Right, the lifestyle is these 9 ancestral tenets.
But his physique is not just, I'm a healthy lifestyle. His physique is to replicate people that are really into bodybuilding, right? Yeah. Because, and you have seen it. There are plenty of people that are in phenomenal shape. Your dad was always, still is, but for his age, was always in phenomenal shape. He just ate well and he worked out. Did it every night for however long and for how many years. You could do it. And you'll have an average healthy body with muscles and shoulders and a V shape, et cetera, et cetera. He would say, I just can't lose those 5 pounds. That little thing that you can't just get the six-pack over.
Dad's got the genetics that he can lose weight real fast, though. Dad used to do like salads for a week and drop 20 pounds.
Right, yeah. He could do that, but he also worked out consistently. Yeah. My point is, you can still have a great physique and a healthy lifestyle, but you may not look like what the Liver King looks like because they're taking it to another level. He's trying to look like a specific bodybuilding group, and he's doing it through a healthy lifestyle. I get it.
He's gotten to the point where you can't get the body that he has without some kind of performance enhancement drugs.
Right. And
everyone knew this. Right. That's what's weird about it. No one in their right mind thought that this guy was not taking PEDs.
Right. But I'm also saying, I'll compare it with women. At some point, not every woman says, I'm going to look like, who's your popular, Cindy Crawford or a supermodel. It's just not going to happen.
Way to date yourself there.
I know. Well, I can't think of any. Haley Bieber, right? Okay.
I guess, yeah.
I'm not going to look like that. I don't have the genetics. I don't have the time, the energy, whatever. Same thing in his situations. An average guy is going to say, I don't need to look like Mr. Universe. I don't need to look like Liver King. I could look incredibly fantastic as a normal, healthy, chiseled, six-pack guy. I don't have to take it to extreme and have to do steroids. It is possible to do it, but you're not going to be as big as those guys. Just like, you could be a skinny woman and work out and be in great shape, but you may never look like a supermodel. It's just, it's what we accept in society. I know a lot of guys, especially guys that work out, they covet that type of look because it represents a lot of hours in the gym and a lot of hard work and discipline, everything else. But now, as you're saying, you got to mix in a little steroids if you're going to get to that level, right? The average guy doesn't need to be at that level to be in a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah. Well, nowadays we have TRT, which is not a PED. That's something that I think anyone over the age of any male over the age of 35 should be taking. You should always get your testosterone checked anyway. This is more than just testosterone, just based on this. I mean, he's taking Omnitrope and Decaball. So we are talking serious steroids here. It's not like he was fully cruising by and just like trying to maintain.
Well, he should probably come out and come clean and
he
clarify what he did, why
today.
he did it, and what will happen if he continues with it or if he offers to stop with it. I don't know what his plans are, but
he's not gonna. You can't really stop. It's tough to stop with steroids because the side effects of stopping are pretty severe. Like people say, oh, just stop taking steroids. There's a lot more to it than just stopping. So.
Wean himself off. Put it that way. If he can wean himself off,
you have to cycle your hormones, but
which to me that would be interesting too. I would watch his site as a guy to see, all right, what happens to him when he weans it off? Yeah. How much is he going to lose? Will he still look healthy?
For his brand, I don't think it's a good idea to do that because his message is so good. Steroids or not, I don't think he has to, and I think a lot of his fans agree. Again, no one thought that he wasn't on steroids. So that's why I think people, truth be told, I don't think as many people care as you think.
Okay. I mean, I'm going based on you because I didn't follow him. Yeah. I just look at it as any advantage that he's been giving himself. Even though that didn't bulk him up, it helped him with his recovery. That's an unfair advantage that the average person doesn't have.
It definitely bulked him up, but
right.
Yeah.
Oh,
no, I'm with you, yeah.
So I think he come clean, but I think he also has to make a judgment call here. If you're going to keep telling people, if you follow these things, it'll be a healthy lifestyle. Forget about the fact that I do these steroids to recover. Well, right there, you've made a major clarification that the average person isn't going to necessarily be doing. Right. You're not going to look like me. You're not going to recover as fast as I am, but you can still live a healthy life that I do. Okay, fine, but
it says he was spending $11,000 a month on his dosages, which is, I mean, no one's going to be able to afford that.
Again, the average person's not going to be able to afford that, and it's unhealthy for them. I mean, they have
some people don't have the genetics to handle what he's taking. What he's taking, the average for him, that's considered cruise control. For the average person. Like if Michael got on this stuff, our brother Michael, as you guys saw, he's a skinny kid. It won't
absolutely not. God.
It wouldn't. Michael
we
would
don't need him having more roid rage.
Yeah, the holes in the walls. Michael, Michael would not look like the Liver King. That's just not how it works.
Right, you have to have the body, the structure to build that kind of muscle.
But I think the other thing about steroids that everyone gets squeamish about is everyone thinks steroids are illegal. They're not illegal. They're only illegal in sports. So that's why The Rock can take them. WWE guys, because it's not a sanctioned sport, can take them. But everything else, you can't take it. But the other argument is steroids are only as good as, or steroid testing is only as good as the newest steroids. So what I mean by that is, if you look at any NFL player, they're on roids too.
Well, but I'll go back to what I said before. If they weren't a big deal, he should have disclosed it from the beginning.
Yeah.
Even he knows that there's a benefit to this. The Rock knows there's a benefit that the average guy isn't going to get who works out 14 times a week and eats really well.
The Rock is in an interesting predicament because he's supposed to be that family-friendly actor. Right, so that's why he can't disclose his steroids because then he loses the younger audience, right?
Well, but I get back to what you said. They're not illegal.
Yeah.
But it's a cheat sheet, right? It's a way of cheating some aspect of your
The
workout.
Rock's is probably the most obvious, though. Like, it's more obvious than the Liver King here because look at The Rock when he was 20 and now he's in his 50s. Mm-hmm. He's twice the size. Name any 25-year-old that got bigger at the age of 50.
I know.
It doesn't make sense.
Right.
It's not. So for people to say, oh, The Rock doesn't take steroids, it's so unbelievably seen that it's surprising that he hasn't talked about it at least once.
Well, and I don't understand. It's not illegal, and he needs it for the character that he is. That's the role he plays, and it's
everyone
part of his
fine
business.
With it. No one's upset about it.
Right.
Just say it. So
that's why I say it. These people do it. They know there's a benefit. Okay, fess up. There's a benefit. I take the steroids because it does blah 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 blah. It costs me $11,000 a month, and that's unrealistic. But people know right there, I'm not going to follow him anymore because I can't do what he does. Right?
Yeah, and I think that's why the Liver King's good because it's not about the steroids. The message isn't, hey, take this and you'll get bigger. It's follow these steps and your life will be better. That's the difference.
That's different. I mean, his appearance is what it is, and that's to the side.
Yeah.
I happen to work out, I take steroids, blah, blah, blah. But these other things make me happy, or they lead to a good life.
And from what I've heard from people that have met him, like he's not a bad guy off camera. He's the same person. Mm-hmm. Like that's who he is. Mm-hmm. He's not putting on some character to the point where it's like, oh, this isn't even the real guy. He does what he says he does, even if he does take steroids. So that's why...
Yeah, well, I mean, he's in a position to clarify, this is why I did it. This is what they do for me. It's a separate message from what I'm saying about leading a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah.
And if it's true, it's true, and people could still follow it. Yeah. But it does leave a bad taste in people's mouth when you leave that out.
I would also say, though, out of all the fitness influencers, I would say he's still probably one of the best guys out there for the industry.
Yeah, I don't know.
I would say compare. Most of them are kids that say they're not on steroids. There's this kid, I won't say his name, but there's this kid who... He's a thin kid. He's like Michael, but he's bench pressing more than I am. It doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. There's no way you're 145 pounds benching 315 10 times without some kind of help. Because mass moves mass. If you don't have the mass, you're gonna tear everything in your arms. You're taking something. So but
don't you see it in his arms if he's taking something?
Yeah,
are his arms defined?
I'll show you this guy real fast. I won't. Just because I don't want to add him. But this kid's super thin.
Oh, yeah.
But he's... I want to see if they have a... There's no way... there's no way a guy like that, who's that thin, and that doesn't do him justice. He's thinner than that. There's no way he's doing as much weight as he does for reps. He doesn't have the weight.
How tall is he?
He's like 5'8". He's shorter than me. But, I mean, there's no shot...
yeah, that's a little different picture.
Yeah, that's lighting.
Before. Yeah,
that's lighting. So either way.
Okay, well, I'll take your word for it.
You got to be taking something. There's no way.
Yeah.
So, here's a great example of a guy.
To your point, it's not illegal.
It's not illegal, but if you're not telling your viewers that you're taking stuff and you're giving them workouts,
I agree.
It's too
misleading.
Obvious. But then there's a guy named Joe E.S.T who he's open about his steroid use. But think of that kid that you were just looking at, Joe.
It's misleading, and it hurts them in the long run because...
Oh, yeah, his heart's going to be...
After a while, people are going to be like, I don't know what this guy's doing, but, you know.
So, here's a great example. See that picture? So, that's a guy that says he's on steroids and stuff. He's open about it.
Yeah.
Compare him to the guy that we were just looking at.
Looks bigger,
but...
Similar, but blown up and... Yeah.
And he's 6'2", I believe.
Oh,
he's taller.
Okay.
So let's think about that, right? You think that last kid's not taking something? Probably a TRT. Again, TRT's fine. That's not steroids, but you're still getting some kind of help.
I'm more impressed by the V.
Well, that's steroids for you.
No, I know, but I'm more impressed by how small the waist is. Plus, also, when you have wider shoulders, it makes your waist look smaller. He's a
big dude anyway. Yeah. Joe Liner's his real name. But, you're not going to get in shape like that without steroids. You can't.
Yeah, I believe
he
that.
did more than just TRT, but at least again he's honest about it, so that's why.
Well, I see, especially on my websites, oftentimes there'll be women on there with an 8-pack. They want to show some diet thing. Oh, I drink. It's a joke thing where they're like, oh, I tried this one thing at night and you'll look like me, kind of thing. It's pure, baloney marketing. But I look at those women. First of all, I find it very unattractive, but at times I'm like, oh, they're definitely injecting something in that. There are too many women out there that have that to begin with.
Most women have what's called distended gut. So you'll see, actually, Liver King's a great example.
My whole life, Chris.
No, this is distended gut. It's when the abdominal shell comes out of the body.
Yeah.
What causes that is HGH and too much red meat. When you eat too much red meat, you get... Kai Green's a great example. Kai Green's a guy that is definitely on steroids. Let me see. Kai Green.
It's the last one because I got to go do my Christmas decorations.
So see, that's a great example of distended gut.
Eek.
That's a real bodybuilder though. That's a guy that's training for Olympics.
He looks like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle with the shell on.
That's exactly why it's called it's funny you say that. That's why it's called the turtle shell.
Turtle shell. That's what it looks like.
So that's what if you look at old pictures of Arnold, they all have the.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, not Arnold. Arnold was actually one of the few that didn't have this because HGH wasn't really popular back then. But
he had 6-pack.
This is different.
But it's not puffing out.
I wish you could see a side picture, but that turtle shell comes past the V line. So it actually comes out to here.
Oh, that's gross.
Yeah. It was very common back when Ronnie Coleman was in Jay Cutler. So with distended gut, that's how... Oh, this is a much better picture. This shows it much better.
Any of that stuff.
So see how far
it's not
out...
even attractive.
Right.
Yeah,
So when women have those 8-packs and it kind of comes out like that, that's usually because they're taking HGH.
Well, I don't usually see them come out because they're so skinny to begin with. But to your point, it might be...
It's actually a gas buildup. It's a gas buildup in the abdomen, and that doesn't go away because your body.
What the heck would you want? Why would you want that?
They make a lot of money doing this stuff. But,
well, I mean, for the women.
So to summarize, actually, hold on, I'm going to show you one more. But there's another guy that people are not sure if he's natural or not. He's one of those guys that I actually look up to. This guy, I think he's a great guy. His name's Mike O'Hearn. They call him Hercules.
Hercules.
Well, they call him Hercules.
I'm joking because it's O'Hearn.
Yeah.
Hercules.
Well, the joke is people call him Mike O'Tren because Tren's a drug.
Oh.
But I mean, good looking dude, good shape. He's 56, I believe.
Oh wow.
Can you? I mean, he's
in
taking something.
Shape. Oh
yeah.
But
that's why they talk, and that's why they. And then he sells he sells a.
His hands look too small.
It's probably edited. Sorry, Mike. But yeah, but from what I hear, his level of knowledge of working out, like no one beats him.
Yeah,
so
hey, great.
There's something to it. You still have to put the work in, and to summarize things, the Liver King still puts in the work. Yeah. Like I don't think steroids have ever changed that. Right. He's always had the work ethic. He always has had the 9 ancestral tenets that he does follow.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't think this whole steroid abuse thing is going to affect him that much.
No, but he should have disclosed it right from the start.
You should have said it from the start. I think every podcaster and YouTuber that has talked about this would agree.
Be honest about it and say it's part of my lifestyle. I don't advocate it, or if you want to do it, but you don't have
safely.
to do it. Or be honest and say you don't have to do it. Now there's a question mark, right? Am I really going to look like you if I don't do these things?
Are you going to be healthier is the question.
Right.
And I, as someone who's seen his diet plan and what he does, I would say yes. If you follow his plan, steroids or not, you are going to be healthier. There's no question about that.
If it's realistic, yes.
Yeah. The only thing I would say is don't eat 6,000 calories a day of raw meat. That's pretty tough. Yeah.
Risky.
That's risky.
Very
now,
risky.
he owns a farm, so all of
his stuff is probably all checked out and pure and whatever.
Very
you can't
checked
do
out,
that as an average person.
Yeah, it's very, like meat at the store, you can't be doing that. It's not, you have to cook it out.
Yeah.
Unless you have a place, like if you go to a butcher, you have a better chance of, if it's not mass produced, you probably
I still think it's risky.
It's risky. It's always risky.
Yeah,
but,
I don't know that that's a good
so,
idea.
Either way, Liver King, we wish you the best.
Yeah.
I think you'll be fine. But other than that, do you have anything you want to promote? I asked Kenny and Michael, do you have anything that you're like?
That I promote?
Yeah, do you have anything? Like anything?
What do I promote?
People should watch or whatever?
People should watch. No.
Okay.
I can't think of anything.
No.
Nothing
Kenny almost tried. I had to stop Kenny from doing a slew of things he was trying to promote. He was like, Johnny's got this new thing coming out. I'm like, Kenny, Johnny's not on here. No.
I saw A Christmas Story Christmas.
Oh, actually,
sequel
speaking
to
of
A Christmas Story.
Zia
Wasn't bad. It was not as good as the first one, but he did a good job trying to tie it all together.
I almost forgot. Zia asked.
I don't know why the original mother wasn't on it. That always bothers me.
What's your favorite? What's your go-to Christmas song? I think I know what it is.
My go-to Christmas song?
I know what it is. The one that I feel like I hear it all the freaking time, and I bet you don't even realize it.
Well, I like the Ariana Grande one right now. He Won't Be Here Next Year. I sing that one a lot.
I don't know that one.
Yeah. And
I feel like every time I'm around my mom, it's always "Have a holly."
Yes, that's a good one. I
hate
that one. I like that one.
I don't hate it. It's actually a good song, but I'm like, oh, again?
Yeah, there's a few that keep coming up all the time. It's Be a Look a Lot Like Christmas. That one comes out a lot, especially around Thanksgiving.
You don't really listen to the Mariah Carey one. The All I Want for Christmas?
That's on it too.
I feel like I rarely hear you say that one. The one that I think of when I hear Christmas is the 12 Pains of Christmas. You know that? Remember that spoof song? I always love that one.
When you guys were
Ringing
kids.
up the lights.
Yeah. We played that one year, and we thought that was the funniest thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't think of any other. I mean, I like the traditional songs, but
yeah,
every now and then I come up with some new ones. Or I also like when a Michael Bublé does an old song.
Michael Bublé, you can't go wrong with Michael Bublé. He must make most of his money off the Christmas songs.
He brings it for Christmas. I gotta tell you, he brings it for Christmas.
Only things that I have to promote. So, board's looking a little empty because I haven't been here and I haven't had time to record anything. Most of the stuff has been zombie maps. We have the Bat Family that came out. This comes out Monday, so yesterday. Bat Family will be the speed run for tomorrow, so Sunday. I don't know what Wednesday's going to be. Probably another zombies. Yeah.
Aren't you doing this on Wednesday? Don't you put out the podcast on Wednesdays?
No, podcast Monday.
Oh.
Tuesday is when it goes to Spotify. Wednesday is probably... I don't know what indie games. I have to look it up. There's so much stuff that I have to record because I have no footage right now. So we'll see. But other than that, social media down below, promo codes down below, other stream links down below, Discord down below for questions, and if you guys just want to post
Do we have to put the classic Christopher Christmas morning?
Do we have it? You'd have to send it to me.
I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Put it on your podcast.
You have to send it to me tonight.
Look at all the stuff.
look at
all the stuff. Oh
How old was I in that?
3, 4, 2.
Yeah, you'll have to send that to me.
Yeah.
So, other than that, I will see you guys tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern. Or, no, tonight, technically. 6 p.m. I gotta get better at this.
Yeah.
I keep thinking, like, this comes out Monday, but today's Saturday. Monday,
Must
I
be
will
fun
see you guys.
editing this.
Yeah. I'll see you guys tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard. So, laters.